The silent arrival of the Krex Empire had been methodical in their conquest. They didn't rush, didn't make grand proclamations, didn't even bother with ultimatums anymore. They simply arrived, calculated the most efficient path to victory, and executed it with the cold precision of a surgeon removing infected tissue. Humanity had become that tissue, and the galaxy was their operating table. Admiral Maya Chen stood on the bridge of the EU's resilience, one of the last 12 battleships defending Earth's outer perimeter. Through the viewport, she could see the debris field that used to be Mars, Colony 7, 3 million souls, reduced to floating metal and frozen atmosphere. The Krex hadn't even slowed down. Their massive pyramid ships, each one the size of Manhattan, continued their steady approach toward Earth, their hulls gleaming with that distinctive purple biometal that seemed to absorb light itself. "Admiral, we're receiving telemetry from the Neptune station," Lieutenant Park announced, his voice steady despite the tremor in his hands. "They're reporting total shield failure. Estimated time until complete destruction. 4 minutes." Chen closed her eyes briefly. Neptune Station had been their early warning system, their first line of defense. 8,000 personnel. She'd known Commander Torres there personally. They'd served together during the Europa campaign, back when humanity still thought they could win through conventional warfare. "Any word from the Council?" she asked, though she already knew the answer. "Negative, Admiral. Last transmission was 6 hours ago. They're discussing terms of surrender." The bridge fell silent. Even the constant hum of the ship's systems seemed to quiet in respect for what that meant. Surrender to the Krex wasn't survival. It was slavery at best, extinction at worst. They'd seen what happened to the Urani when they surrendered. An entire species reduced to mindless drones, their neural patterns harvested for the Krex's biological computers. Chen straightened her uniform, a gesture more for herself than anyone else. "Signal the fleet. Form up in Delta 7 formation. If Earth is going to fall, we're going to make them pay for every inch." But even as she gave the order, she knew it was futile. 12 ships against an armada of hundreds. Their weapons could barely scratch the Krex shields, while a single volley from their plasma arrays could vaporize an entire battle group. This wasn't a battle. It was a funeral procession, and they were both the mourners and the deceased. Then something changed. Admiral Ensign Rodriguez at the sensor station nearly jumped out of her seat. "I'm detecting a massive gravitic anomaly at coordinates 279 Mark IV. Krex reinforcements?" Chen asked, though part of her wondered why they'd bother. "No, ma'am, I don't know what it is. The readings don't match anything in our database." Space itself seemed to ripple on the main view screen. Not the smooth transition of a hyperspace window or the violent tear of a warp breach. This was different. It was as if reality was being gently pulled apart, strand by strand, revealing something that had always been there but hidden from view. The ship that emerged defied every principle of engineering Chen knew. It was massive, easily dwarfing even the largest Krex pyramid ship, but its design was impossible. No straight lines, no defined edges. It flowed like liquid mercury frozen in time, its surface constantly shifting between states of matter. One moment it appeared solid, the next translucent, revealing glimpses of impossible geometries within. Colors that shouldn't exist played. Across its hull, shades that made the human eye water trying to process them. "It's not transmitting any identification," Park reported, his training overcoming his awe. "No energy signatures we can identify. Hell, I'm not even sure it's using conventional propulsion. The Krex fleet had noticed too. Their perfect formation wavered, pyramid ships adjusting their positions with an urgency Chen had never seen from them before. They were afraid. The species that had conquered a third of the galaxy, that had never lost a single fleet engagement, was afraid. A pulse of energy emanated from the unknown vessel. Not an attack, more like sonar, washing over every ship in the system. Chen felt it pass through the resilience, a sensation like ice water in her veins that left her gasping. Around her, the bridge crew experienced the same phenomenon, some crying out in surprise. Then came the voice, not through their communication systems, but directly into their minds. Each person heard it in their own language, their own accent, as if it was their own thoughts speaking to them. Humanity of Earth, your call has been heard, your sacrifice witnessed, your determination measured. We are the Void Walkers, keepers of the ancient pact. When a species proves worthy through suffering and refuses to yield even in the face of extinction, we answer, you have proven worthy. Chen found her voice first. This is Admiral Maya Chen of the United Earth Fleet. Who, ... what are you? The response came immediately, still in that strange internal voice. We are what remains of those who came before, those who faced their own extinction and transcended it. We do not interfere in the natural evolution of conflict. But when genocide threatens to silence a voice that deserves to sing among the stars, we act. The Krex have forgotten the first law of the cosmos. No species has the right to silence another completely. The unknown ship began to move, gliding through space without any visible means of propulsion. It positioned itself between Earth and the Krex fleet, a guardian angel made of impossible mathematics and twisted physics. As it moved, smaller objects began detaching from its hull. Not fighters or drones, but something else. They looked like seeds made of crystallized starlight, each one pulsing with its own inner radiance. Admiral Rodriguez whispered, her eyes wide as she stared at her instruments. Those ... SEEDS. They're doing something to space itself. They're creating some kind of field, but it's nothing like our shields. It's like they're reinforcing the fabric of reality around Earth. The Krex response was immediate and violent. Every pyramid ship opened fire simultaneously, their plasma arrays painting space purple with concentrated death. The beams that could crack moons, that had shattered entire fleets, struck the unknown vessel and nothing happened. The energy didn't dissipate or get absorbed. It simply ceased to exist at the point of contact, as if the ship existed in a state where energy weapons were merely a suggestion rather than a threat. The Void Walker ship pulsed once, a wave of distortion that made everyone's vision blur. And then the Krex weapons simply ... stopped. Every plasma array, every missile launcher, every weapon system on every pyramid ship went dark. How? Park breathed. The voice returned, tinged with what might have been amusement. The Krex rely on technology they do not truly understand, borrowed from civilizations they conquered. We wrote the fundamental laws their weapons operate on. We can rewrite them. For the first time in 7 years, Chen felt something she'd forgotten. Existed hope. Not the false hope of propaganda or the desperate hope of the dying, but real, tangible hope. They weren't alone. The universe hadn't abandoned them. Something, someone, had heard humanity's defiant roar against the dying of the light and had chosen to answer. What do you need from us? Chen asked. Fight, came the simple response. Show the galaxy that humanity will not go quietly into the dark. Show them why your species, young as it is, deserves to stand among the stars. We can give you the chance, but the victory must be yours to claim. The seeds of light began to move, surrounding each human ship. They didn't attach or interface, but simply orbited, creating halos of impossible beauty around the battered vessels. Chen felt the resilience respond, systems that had been failing suddenly operating beyond peak efficiency. Weapons that had been ineffective suddenly hummed with new potential. Admiral Park's voice was filled with wonder. Our weapons, they're changing. The energy signatures, the output readings. It's like they've been evolved by 1,000,000 years in an instant. Chen looked at the Krex fleet, saw their pyramid ships struggling to restore their systems, saw confusion in their previously perfect formation. For 7 years, humanity had been the prey, but prey that refused to die, that fought with teeth and claws even as it bled, sometimes evolved into something else entirely. Sometimes it became the predator. All ships, Chen commanded, her voice carrying across the fleet. Prepare for counterattack. Today, we remind the galaxy why humans are not to be underestimated. Today, we stop running. Humanity's gambit captain Marcus Rivera had been ready to die. Not the heroic death of stories, but the grinding, inevitable death of watching his species slowly strangled by superior forces. He'd made his peace with it 3 months ago when his daughter's colony ship had been destroyed trying to evacuate Proxima Station. But now, watching his weapons console transform before his eyes, displaying capabilities that shouldn't exist, he realized death might have to wait. Captain, the Washington is requesting synchronized firing solutions. His weapons officer, Commander Yuki Tanaka, reported. Her fingers danced across interfaces that were rewriting themselves in real time. Whatever these Voidwalkers did to our systems, it's integrated perfectly with our existing infrastructure. It's like our technology was always capable of this. We just didn't know how to unlock it. Rivera studied the tactical display. The Krex fleet, 347 pyramid ships, strong, hung in space like purple daggers aimed at Earth's heart. But for the first time, they weren't advancing. Their weapons were still offline, and their formation had become defensive. They were waiting, calculating, trying to understand what had changed. The massive Voidwalker ship pulsed again, and new information flooded Rivera's mind. Not words this time, but pure knowledge. Battle tactics used by species that had fought among stars, humanity hadn't even discovered yet. Weaknesses in Krex technology that generations of human scientists had failed to find. And something else. Something that made his breath catch. They're not invincible, he said aloud, causing his bridge crew to turn toward him. The Krex, the Voidwalkers are showing us, ... They're not invincible. They're parasites. Their entire civilization is built on stolen technology they don't fully understand. Admiral Chen's voice crackled across the fleet. Come. All captains are receiving the same information. The Voidwalkers are giving us the knowledge, but we have to apply it. They won't fight our battle for us. Rivera understood. This was still humanity's war. The Voidwalkers were the equalizer, not the solution. It reminded him of an old Earth proverb his grandmother used to say, "Give a man a fish, and he eats for a day. Teach a man to fish, and he eats for life." The Voidwalkers weren't here to hand them victory. They were here to teach humanity how to claim it. Tanaka, target the lead pyramid's quantum resonator, Rivera ordered, the alien knowledge integrating seamlessly with his tactical training. Frequency 77 Alpha. That's their command ship. Without it, their hive-link communication falls apart. Sir, how do you know about their quantum resonator? Tanaka asked, even as she followed the order. I don't know how I know. I just ... know. Across the human fleet, similar revelations were occurring. 12 ships, barely held together by emergency repairs and determination, suddenly moved with a coordination they'd never achieved before. Not because the Void Walkers were controlling them, but because, for the first time, they truly understood their enemy. The Krex fleet responded to the human movement, their systems finally coming back online. But something was different. Their weapons, when they fired, were weaker. Their shields, when they activated, flickered. The Voidwalker ship hadn't destroyed their technology. It had reverted it to its true state, stripping away the stolen advancements, leaving only what the Krex had developed themselves. Firing solution locked, Tanaka announced. All ships, this is Admiral Chen. On my mark, concentrate fire on designated targets. Show them that humanity didn't survive this long by luck. 3.2.1 Mark. 12 beams of light lanced out from the human fleet. Not the pale blue of their old plasma weapons, but something new. The seeds orbiting each ship had somehow transformed their weapons into something that seemed to cut through space itself. The beams hit the Krex command ship's quantum resonator, and for a moment, nothing happened. Then the pyramid ship screamed, not an audible sound, but a psychic wail that every human felt in their bones. The ship's biometal hull began to convulse, its perfect geometric shape warping and twisting. Secondary explosions rippled along its surface as systems overloaded. Within seconds, the most advanced ship in the Krex Armada was a dying hulk. Effect on the rest of the fleet was immediate. Without their command ship's coordination, the hive link that allowed perfect synchronization shattered. Pyramid ships began firing independently, their formation dissolving into chaos. Some fired on the humans, others seemed confused, firing at empty space or even each other. My God, someone on the bridge whispered. They can't think independently. Without the hive link, they don't know how to fight as individuals. Rivera saw the opportunity immediately. Tanaka, new firing pattern. Target their formation, anchors. If we can isolate them into smaller groups, ... Already calculating, Captain, feeding solutions to the fleet. This was what the Krex had never understood about humanity. They saw our individualism as weakness, our inability to form a true hive mind as proof of inferiority. But humans had something the Krex didn't, the ability to be both individual and united. Every human ship fought as part of the whole while maintaining its own initiative. Adapting in real time to the chaos of battle, the engagement that followed would be studied for generations. 12 human ships, enhanced but not controlled by Voidwalker technology, dismantled a fleet that had conquered civilizations spanning millennia, not through superior firepower or overwhelming numbers, but through the one thing humanity had always excelled at, adaptability. The Krex fought with increasing desperation as their numbers dwindled. They attempted to reform their hive link, but the humans had learned to disrupt it. They tried to retreat, but the Voidwalker ship had done something to space itself, creating a barrier they couldn't penetrate. They even attempted to ram the human ships, but humanity had faced that tactic before and knew how to counter it. For hours into the battle, something unexpected happened. A massive hyperspace window tore open near Jupiter, and new ships emerged. Not Krex pyramids, but vessels. Rivera recognized the angular designs of the Altarian Federation, the organic curves of the Zealoty Collective, the crystal spires of the Luminous Court, civilizations that had remained neutral in the war, watching from the sidelines as humanity died. Admiral Park's voice was tense. "We're being hailed by the Altarian flagship." Chen's response was immediate. On screen, the face that appeared was vaguely humanoid but covered in scales that shifted color with emotion. Currently, they were a deep blue-green that Rivera had learned meant shame. "Admiral Chen of Earth," the Altarian spoke, its translation device giving its words a formal tone. "We have monitored this engagement. We have witnessed what the galaxy thought impossible. The Krex Empire, defeated by a species they deemed inferior. We, .. We have been cowards. We watched your people burn and did nothing, believing resistance was futile." Chun's expression remained neutral, and now we see that courage is not the absence of fear, but action despite it. The Zealoty and Luminous Court agree. If humanity can stand against the Krex, then perhaps the galaxy can as well. We offer our assistance, not as saviors, but as allies, if you will have us. Rivera watched his admiral consider. They didn't need the help anymore. The Krex fleet was broken, with less than 50 ships still functional. But this was bigger than one battle. This was about the future, about humanity's place in a galaxy that had written them off. "Your assistance is accepted," Chen replied. "On one condition: this alliance continues after the battle. Humanity has bled alone for 7 years. If we're to rebuild, we do it together, as equals." The Altarian's scales shifted to purple, indicating agreement as equals. The final phase of the battle was less a fight and more a surrender. Surrounded by human ships, their technology reduced to its basic form, and facing reinforcements from 3 other civilizations, the remaining Krex vessels powered down their weapons. For the first time in their species' history, they yielded. The Void Walker ship, which had remained stationary throughout the battle, pulsed one final time. The voice returned to every mind in the system: "The test is complete. Humanity has proven, not through our intervention, but through your own courage, that you deserve your place among the stars. You faced extinction and chose defiance. You stood alone and inspired others to stand with you. This is why we answered your call." Rivera felt the seeds of light detaching from his ship, returning to the Voidwalker vessel. But the knowledge remained, the enhancements to their technology permanently integrated. They were gifts, not loans. "Will we see you again?" Chen asked. "When the universe faces a threat that would silence all songs, not just one, you will see us again. Until then, grow, learn, teach others what you have learned here. That survival is not about the strongest or the most advanced, but about those who refuse to yield when yielding would be easier." The massive ship began to fade, not moving, but simply becoming less real, less present. Within moments, it was gone, leaving only the memory of its presence and the transformed human fleet. Rivera looked at the tactical display. Earth still hung there, blue and beautiful, scarred but unbroken. Around it, the debris of the Krex fleet floated like a metallic asteroid field. But also around it were allies, civilizations that had finally found their courage in humanity's example. "Captain," Tanaka said quietly, "we did it. We actually did it." Rivera nodded, feeling the weight of the moment. They had done more than survive. They had proven that humanity's greatest strength wasn't its technology or numbers, but its spirit. The spirit that had driven them from caves to stars that had refused to break under 7 years of systematic extinction. "Signal all ships," he ordered. "Begin search and rescue operations. Even for the Creks, we're better than they are." As his crew moved to follow his orders, Rivera allowed himself one moment of private reflection. His daughter was still gone. Millions were still dead. The scars of this war would take generations to heal. But humanity would heal. They would rebuild. And they would remember. In the vast darkness of space, Earth turned on its axis, unaware of how close it had come to silence. But in the ships, surrounding it, in the colonies that would be rebuilt, in the stories that would be told, everyone would remember the day the universe itself acknowledged humanity's right to exist. The war was over. The real work was about to begin.